I've got all my equipment ready to go, plus my drawings which I'm going to work from as my inspiration. Using my viewfinder, I've cropped a section of a drawing which I'm going to use for my stenciling technique. Thinking about composition, I've cropped a section that I think looks interesting. Remember, these aren't exact visual representations and can become quite abstracted once we've cropped small sections. I've laid out my acetate sheet on top of my drawing, and using an OHP pen or a Sharpie marker, I'm marking out areas that I'm going to start to cut out to create my stencil from. Remember, the section of plastic that I cut away will be what gets to be printed through onto the fabric or onto the paper. I can't cut out every single drawn line, so I will simplify sections to make this easier for me. Making sure that I've got a very thick piece of cardboard underneath to protect my table, or you could use a rubberized craft mat, I'm going to use the craft knife to cut out my sections. Depending on your age, you may need supervision or help from an adult when using the craft knife. Be careful of those fingers. Now I've got my protective tablecloth down to start printing. I'm getting out some fabric paints. You can use any kind of paint, and I'm just using an acetate sheet just to mix it up. I'm using a makeup sponge rather than an ordinary sponge, but you can use either, and I'm going to stipple on using my stencil to create my print. You could either use a stippling brush as well. Try experimenting on different kinds of paper, different kinds of fabric, it could be patterned fabric as well as plain, to create your prints from. Also, think about repeating your pattern. If you were to do it again, you could, once dried, flip the acetate sheet over to create a symmetrical print going the other way. There are endless possibilities. Be creative and experiment. The next technique is stamping. Use anything with a texture. Here I'm using a button. Here I've glued the button on the end of a glue stick lid just to make it a little bit more secure. Another way of adding texture is by rollering. Here I've put elastic bands onto the end of a kitchen roll to be able to print. You could try string. You could try gluing onto some card to add texture and then create your own stamp from that. Or a reverse technique of that would be to draw into polystyrene, creating a negative print. Keep a lookout for anything with texture. Here I'm painting up the end of a corrugated piece of cardboard to create some lines. What could you find or make to print with? Have a go.